Good evening, everyone. I have in front of you a hard copy of the district enrollment projections. I'd like to go through and kind of go on some highlights of the report. You've had the opportunity to read it for yourselves, so I don't think I need to read it for you. But if everyone would like to pull out that report and go to page 1, where we have a district enrollment history. And as you can see, the enrollment is reasonably level in figure 1A. It has tapered off over the years, and in fact, if you go to the next page on table 1, you can see what the actual numbers are rather than in a graphical representation. Over that 10-year period, the enrollment across the entire district has declined by 159 students. The next page in the report looks at student enrollment by grade grouping. And again, as you look at the graphs, you can see that the 5, 6, 7, 8 population has stayed relatively stable, as has the high school population. Where we're seeing a decline is in the 4K population, or the K4 population rather, and that is tending to trend downward. Page 5 is kindergarten enrollment trends. Again, it kind of echoes what you saw with the enrollment for K4. So again, trending downward over time. And again, these are actuals over time. Page 6 is kind of an interesting graph as well. And it shows the difference between the number of students that are graduating and the number of kindergarten students that are enrolling in the district. So generally speaking, when you have less kids coming in than are going out, you tend to be on the downward side of enrollment. There's some birth trend data in the report, some population estimates on page 8 that I found kind of interesting, just looking at the percent change. So Washington County as a whole is projected to go up by about 2.1%. The district and the state is only going to go up by 1.8%, which is kind of telling for the community and for the county as a whole. We have some things to think about.
Just a question,
Yep.
Dave, if you're going to get to this, or I didn't see it in the report on school choice of how many, I think there's 400 plus students of school choicing out,
Right.
189 going to Slinger, and if we're only down 150 people, I think school, I just have the perception that it's
right, and those are actual numbers that are in school today. The report does not look at open enrollment out, but it looks at trends on how our numbers are actually doing, and it really doesn't take that into consideration.
Maybe I'll comment more later, but I think we've lost a lot more students the last couple of years. We've lost our realtors' support of putting West Bend School District on their signs versus Slinger. So I just think there's a sales and marketing challenge. It's just looking at these numbers, it's like, okay.
Doesn't look horrible, but
doesn't look horrible, but there's time to turn the table and turn these numbers around based on available students leaving and based on recruiting those families coming in.
Exactly. If anyone has any questions as we're going through this, please let me know. The next page on page 9 looks at population for area municipalities. And this is broken up into 2 separate graphs just because the scale would have got a little crazy with the West Bend having a population of 31,000 and everybody else hovering less than 7,000. What I can point to on these particular graphs is when you look at the village of Jackson and the town of Jackson, they are trending upward. Everything else is reasonably level. Perhaps the city of West Bend is trending upwards as well. The next section looks at age structure of the community and how housing affects enrollment. So there's two ways to increase your enrollment through housing starts, and one is through the people moving into the area and housing starts. The other is for community turnover. For example, if a community is aging and moving out of their homes into condos or assisted living, and young families move in, that's when you start to see some turnover in the community. Right now, things in West Bend and within the district by municipality are, again, you know, they're improving over what they have been over the last 10 years, but we're still moving through that whole area. The grade progression ratios on page 16 point to a phenomenon that most districts experience. You'll see a huge spike in the between grade 8 and 9. That's a result, generally speaking, of kids that have been in the parochial system electing to go to the public high school in the community. So that's why the large spike in that particular range. When we look at enrollment projections for for facilities planning, and right now we're looking at the district as a whole, there are 4 methods for doing it. One is the baseline projection, one is based on a 2-year projection, one is based on a 5-year projection, and the final method is on kindergarten trend projections. So if we were to look out 10 years on using the baseline projection, the district as a whole would be down 772 students. Now realize that the first 5 years of these projections are probably pretty decent. When you get further out than that, you're dealing with kids that haven't been born yet, so they get a little softer numbers the further out you go. 2-year or the 5-year trend model again indicates that enrollment will decline as well, this time by 840 odd students. The 2-year trend, again, different methodology, but around 870 students. And then finally the kindergarten trend projection, which seems to be kind of the outlier in all the projections, projects almost 1,350 students. Now obviously, as we're going through every year, we're going to have to monitor what our numbers are, compare them against the projections that we have, and then determine which is actually going to be the most accurate methodology for our community. There's graphical representations on the next several pages, but again, you can easily see that those projections show 3 fairly tightly grouped together, with the kindergarten trend model always trending lower than everything else. Now, as I said, we have been talking really about the district as a whole, but to Ken's point earlier, what we're really concerned about this stage of the game is what's going to happen in the village of Jackson and in the Jackson attendance area.